everyone. So today I wanted to talk to you about the agency journey. All right, so I run a successful lead generation agency, but on top of that I also teach people how to build a successful lead generation agency by selling leads to businesses on a cost per lead basis. So I speak to a lot of agency owners, and I can see their journey and the way that they're going, and I can kind of relate to my story and how that works and how it kind of panned out over the years. And there's a lot of similarities between what I've done and what most people are doing. So I wanted to run through, what the typical journey is, how long this takes, and kind of how it works. And there might be some pitfalls or traps that I can kind of advise you guys on as well. So this was kind of, my journey, and we'll kind of see how it goes and where it takes us. And I imagine you're going to see some similarities there, as I said. So the first thing that kind of happened with me is that I think it was around September 2009. I was in a job. I was an engineer, and I had entrepreneurial spirit, and I think I literally typed "make money online" into the internet in 2009, and it took me on a journey from that day. I remember it vividly. But for a lot of people, it just might be the idea that, hey, there's this internet thing out there, and advertising is big, and I believe digital marketing is the future, and I think I can, you've got an entrepreneurial spirit and you want to be a business owner, there's a way that you can make money online, I guess. So that's the kind of light bulb moment for most people, and that's the start of this like amazing but often painful journey. So usually what happens after that is that you get into some kind of a freelancing role, and this happened with me, where you were kind of helping people out. You were posting on the likes of Upwork, and you had you could do some kind of SEO content, or you could do whatever you want to basically earn some money on the side. So for me, this period of time here was kind of roughly 1 year. So one year. And after that, you begin to, this was done while I had my job as well, and you begin to build up a little bit of excess cash, and you can kind of see that there's a future in this game. And you eventually get to the point where you might be doing this for someone, or a white labeling, and you're like, well, why don't I just kind of do this for companies or clients directly, and I can get paid more. I don't have to be the middleman anymore. So what you do then, and this process might take another kind of half a year or whatever, 6 months, you form an agency. You go to Companies House if you're in the UK, and you launch your business. You become a real business at this point in time, in the eyes of Companies House anyway. So what happens after that is you transition some of these clients into your business, and you start generating income. I would say throughout this process, for me anyway, I had a job at this point in time. So I was working before work and after work, and I was hustling my backside off, because I could see that the big picture was the leaving the 9 to 5. I was in engineering and I didn't enjoy it, and it was the kind of light at the end of the tunnel for me. So I was motivated and excited, and I imagine a lot of you guys are as well. So what happened after that is that I formed this agency, and then this period took about another kind of 1 year, and this is where I started offering everything under the sun. Okay, I was building landing pages, I was doing SEO, I was doing blog posts, I was hiring virtual assistants in the Philippines to write content for me and manage social media posts. I was doing some conversion rate optimization, I was doing Google AdWords, I was doing Facebook advertising, I was doing anything I could to bring in some revenue for the business. And looking back on it, it's kind of, you just have to do it, right? You have to hustle your backside off and try and bring income into that business in any way possible. But really, it's not sustainable, because when you're doing all of these things here, you spread too thin. You can't specialize in anything, and it's a natural progression. And if you're at that stage now where you are actually doing all of this work, then don't stress. You know, there'll be a natural progression to where you get to the point where, okay, it's a serious business now. You get a staff member, you move into an office. For me, that was about probably about 5 years ago, and you start you know, getting help with some of these other services, and you start to you know, become a real business. You know, you've got a post, you've got a phone, you've got employees, you've got payroll, you've got taxes, and all that kind of scary stuff. But you know, it's progression, and what happens after that, and I'd say it's about another, from here to here, is another kind of, you know, 18 months, I would say. And that's where you go through the process of landing clients. For me, that was specializing a little bit more in pay-per-click, so I started doing Google AdWords and focusing more on landing page optimization and generating leads, lead generation, as opposed to doing all this other SEO stuff and content and social media posts. So we started naturally progressing towards lead generation as our specialization. And that was key for us because, you know, when you stop doing all that other stuff, you can begin to get a lot better at what you do. You know, you can get heavily into training. You'll end up landing a client that's maybe got it. For us, they had a decent budget, and we could learn on other people's dime. We could, you know, we're spending 20, 30, 40,000 a month on paid traffic. And when you have that kind of money to play with, you can start becoming better at what you do and understanding how to get results for people. And when you can do this, you start becoming a lot more attractive to work with, and you can start charging more money. So the specialization bit is, you know, 1 year, 2.5 years, 3. Well, yeah, I would say for me, it was kind of 4 years down the line. And you know, that's a long way to come from make money online when you didn't even know what a domain was. And some of you might be able to speed that process up, but for me, this was a realistic time frame. You know, I wanted it to happen a lot faster, and I would say I could have reduced that time by becoming a little bit more patient. And I know that that doesn't make sense, and it's kind of counterintuitive, but if you take every opportunity that you can, you tend to get overwhelmed, and you create an environment where you get poor results for your clients. So, you know, my advice at this point in time is, if you're around this area or this stage, is that just kind of slow down a little bit and know that this process takes time, and be patient, because good things will happen. You just have to stick with it and roll with the punches. So after you get into this stage, you're specializing, and you have a real business at this point in time. Okay, you've got, for me, you know, 4 or 5 staff members. Things are starting to turn around. You're working with some big clients, and things are starting to look good. For me, that process took kind of about another 1 year. And the good thing is that things start happening quickly after this point in time, because you've got a real business. You're specializing, you're great at, you know, 1 or 2 particular. For me, the next stage was freedom, and that came when we started developing a culture within the business, and it came down to the people as well. So I was able to hire some great people. All of my staff are really great at what they do, and they care about the business, and they kind of bought into that journey. So, you know, for me, I run this lead generation agency, but in reality, my time is kind of, you know, 20% there and 20% working on my my education stuff now, the flexible stuff, which a lot of you will be aware of. And that step from being a real business to having freedom and trying new stuff came, you know, kind of unexpectedly for me, but it came when I was able to have people in my team that I can trust, that were bought into the process, and you know, kind of generally, I hope, excited to you know, work towards this vision that we have. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It is you know, a little bit about my story, but I imagine a lot of you guys can relate to these kind of steps along the process. And my big points and tips from someone that's kind of been there and done that and figured it out and came out the other end, although there's still a long way to go for us, is that patience is the key, okay? Don't expect everything to happen overnight, and it's counterintuitive, but the more patient you are, I think the quicker things will happen, okay? Don't make, rash decisions because you're desperate, all right? The other thing is culture and team. So if you are, getting to the stage where you've got a real business, i.e. down here with staff and an office and hiring great people, then that is where you'll be able to, use and leverage those people to get you the kind of results and look after the business in a way that creates that freedom, that time, and their ability to, maybe take some time off and, have some holidays, or also, start something new like I've done. So, if you want to know more about how we transitioned from, during this specialization stage, where we went from doing everything to, getting better at one thing, for us that was lead generation and charging a cost per lead and selling leads on a pay per lead basis to clients. So the difference between, how we made money was the difference between what we spent on generating those leads and what we sold them for. The difference is our profit margin. And when we transitioned to the pay per lead model, things changed very dramatically and quickly for us. So if you want to know more, there's a case study below this video on how we did it and how it worked. I'd love for you guys to check it out. See you soon.